Hi, everyone. This is your host, Tommi Vincent of In Her Words podcast. And today we have the lovely Melanie Few joining us at the In Her Words table. And Melanie is the founder and managing partner of Results Marketing and Media. And Ms. Few is the founder and executive producer of the Super Bowl Gospel Celebration. Melanie, welcome to the table.
Thank you for having me. I've been wanting to be at the table for years. I said, when am I going to get invited to the table?
Oh, man, it is such an honor. We've had the good fortune of knowing each other for a very long time, and I've had the opportunity to watch you grow and flourish and really invest in something that was really important to you. And I want to talk about that for a minute, because now in an age where everybody wants everything in an instant and they don't have the drive, they don't have the tenacity, I don't even have the words to stay in it, to win it. You have literally over the years have invested and sown into what you wanted to happen, and you've had the opportunity to watch it grow and exceed probably more than what you've even imagined.
Way more than what I imagined.
Yes.
Way more. It's interesting to me because I don't know if I've ever had to help tell you this story as it pertains to Super Bowl Gospel. I went with someone to Super Bowl right out of college, 1990 or something. And I couldn't understand after I enjoyed myself, and I'm gonna make you laugh because I call those my before Christ days, okay? We were partying back, okay? And by Sunday,
you still party.
Okay, I do. I can't lie. But I said, Lord, find me a gospel song, a church, something. And I couldn't understand why there was no gospel music event tied in with Super Bowl. So this is the crazy part. This is going to make you laugh. I just was the kind of kid where when my parents told me no, I usually had to get a spanking for me to understand that no really did mean no, because I never understood that. So I wrote the NFL for 7 years, and I got 7 years of rejection letters. And at the time, Troy was at the NFLPA, and Gene Upshaw had said to some people, this woman is crazy. He said, who writes for 7 years and just keeps on writing and not taking no for an answer? And I know Troy was one of the people. He got to them and they said, Troy had good intentions, but Gene was like, I know how to get rid of this lady. He said, I'm going to tell her if she can get Gladys Knight, we'll let her do this gospel event. He said, she ain't going to be able to get her. And so that'll be the end of that. We will have gotten rid of her. Honey, he didn't know I'm from Atlanta, and so is Gladys.
I know Gladys. What you talking?
My aunt went to high school with Gladys.
Yeah, you ain't saying nothing but a thing.
It's interesting. I just always loved gospel music. I come from a family of ministers. I never knew it would be this, it would have grown like this. But I'm so grateful, and I realize that the letters that we have gotten over the years have propelled us to keep going. When mothers say, when my son saw a football player in a choir robe, it let him know it's okay, And so those are the things. But no, I could have never imagined, ever, and I didn't.
But look, here we are today, and it is a faith journey, because I'm sure, just like you shared your 7 years of no.
Yes.
That those weren't the last no's that you received.
Oh, Lord,
because
no.
Anytime you're growing anything, there should be a course of action for elevation.
Yes.
So with every elevation, there's a new ask.
It is.
And so I know you got some more no's along the way.
I still get them.
Yeah.
All the time.
How do you stay in it with the histories of the no's? I know you got some yeses, but no's sometimes can knock you off your feet.
Yes.
How have you stayed in it?
It's so interesting. The way a parent pours into a child's life, you never know how you're shaping that child for a lifetime. And my mother's favorite poem that she would recite every week at the house to pour into my sister and myself was a poem by Frank Stanton called Keep A Going. And it says, if you strike a rose or a thorn, keep a going. If it hails or if it snows, keep her going. And she would tell us this every week. And I used to say, I'm tired of that. But now it's my mantra because I have to keep going. I don't have a choice. I either have to keep going, I can lay down and die. And I have to make a decision. I have to keep going. It's interesting how, and when you talk about the no's, it's interesting. God has put me in a position now where I look at people differently. And I look at myself differently because it's easy to look at people and think they got it going on. Everything looks like it's going. You never know what people are going on behind closed doors. And people will, even this year, I applied for to be a part of an organization. And, I got my rejection letter. And that's okay. I shed a few tears. But I know that it was God taking me to a humble place because even though I never felt like I necessarily had to be accepted, everybody was telling me, girl, you know they're going to choose you. Yeah. And when I got my rejection letter, I shed a few tears. But I said, God, I see what you're doing. And it's interesting because just the other night I was telling somebody, God has humbled me to a place that I look at people so differently. I remember going to an event and I remember them having these big, huge coat bags. Mm-hmm. And in the coat bags, they were just giving away samples of a 1 ounce baby lotion, a 1 ounce baby powder, and something else, maybe a 1 ounce shampoo. And I remember in my mind, not intentionally being judgmental, but thinking, why the coat bag with the 1 ounce? And now I look at things like, well, you know what? I'm enjoying my 1 ounce baby powder because God is a humbler.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so he's a blesser and all those things. But this has been, even with some things I went through last year, some contracts I applied for, it seemed like 2022 was my year of no's. And I realized God needed to get my attention so that he could pour some things into my life that needed to be changed. And now I look at no's. I didn't at the time, but I know the word no is a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's going to help you evolve and become better because of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I want to know, who is this organization? No. Let me go talk to this organization. So let's talk about the Super Bowl gospel choir. Mm-hmm. Because there has been some amazing things that have been popping off for the choir. Mm-hmm. You guys have been on America's Got Talent.
Yep.
Like, I just been like, okay now.
Let me tell you, the way God has done this thing is amazing because we never really planned to have a choir. Mm-hmm. Back in I want to say 2008 it might have been, or 2007, Patti LaBelle was our guest that year. She looked out at all the men in the audience. She said, my God, all these fine boys, but I bet none of them could sing. We didn't even know we had players that could sing.
Yeah.
They ran up and grabbed her mic and started passing the mic. And I just said in a joking way, I'm going to order you all some choir robes, just joking.
Yeah.
But the next year I said, I should just order them some choir robes and we just have a good time. Not really, still taking it as a fun moment.
Yeah.
God is so amazing because we've been on this journey since 2008. And this year, when America's Got Talent called, it seemed so surreal. And the young lady told me she was leaving America's Got Talent, going to The Bachelor. She said, but I want to leave my mark on this show before I leave. She was a young producer. And she said, can we get the choir? Well, the guys hadn't seen each other in almost 3 years because of COVID.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, we probably sound a mess. And I was like, you know what? They didn't want to do it. We turned it down 5 times. And they were like, honey, we're going to just treat it as a vacation. And they were probably going to send us home the first half hour. We didn't think we would get to stay. And when they got out to California, they started really getting grounded and serious. And they started thinking
they're competitors. They athletes. They said, no, we want to win.
Oh my God. They were so into it. And we made it to the top 5. I couldn't believe it. And I'm going to tell you, they were Simon's choice because they were so unexpected.
Yeah.
And then when Justin Bieber gave them a huge shout out on all his social platforms, it really made them feel, we could really do this. But I'm going to tell you, of all the things they've done recently, being on honors, we had moments right before they walked out on stage where there were a lot of tears in the room, because to be accepted by your peers,
Oh man.
and to show that we can do this.
Yeah.
Literally, I was crying, they were crying.
Well, just think about it. When you're growing up in a church, especially as a male, that's not a cool thing.
Right.
To be like, I'm in the choir. So, it's cool to be an athlete.
Yes.
But it's, to say you in a gospel choir. And here you are, an athlete in a gospel choir. And to your point, you're on the stage, one of the biggest stages of the NFL with the honors.
Yes.
In front of your peers, and they're perceiving what you're doing as something that is cool.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is not that we need other people's validations, because we got to get past that within itself, and just feel good in the skin we're in.
Yes.
And do what we do. But it is nice to receive that validation from your peers.
Yes. I think it made him so happy, because when we were walking out, Dak Prescott was standing there, and he already told him, I'm bringing y'all down for my foundation, and different ones were slapping him on the back. And that's the most joyful moment I've ever seen them have. I thought they were very happy with America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
But it was something about the other day that just gave them confirmation
Yeah.
that was different. It was
Yeah.
a very different experience.
So what has been, and you have so many, I know, but is there any moment in particular that sticks out for you for the Super Bowl gospel celebration?
It is. I think it's a couple moments. I think having the opportunity to have both my parents alive,
Yeah.
and coming to see the show, and this was back in the day, but just to see them see me work hard and work in the care of God to bring something to light that I had only dreamed about, that's my fondest memory, to see the smiles on their two faces. And I think that, God didn't bless me with children. That wasn't in the cards for me. I always wanted children, but it was not what he had planned for me. So I think two things. One was my parents. I remember those smiles. The next time was my goddaughter. I remember when we finished Super Bowl Gospel, she looked at me differently, like she was so proud. And she said, Auntie Mel, I see you work, but I didn't realize you did this.
Yeah.
Those two things those smiles bring me so much wonderful joy. Yeah. So people say, is it not standing next to Patti LaBelle? Is it not standing next to Kiara Sheard or the Clark sisters? I said, I am a fan of all of them, and I love them all. But I was the biggest fans of the two people who were my fans, my parents.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're going into the 25th year.
Can you believe it?
Listen, yes, I can. Because the woman behind it all, you are a force to be reckoned with.
Thank you.
And so I'm looking forward to celebrating those 25 years with you. So do you have any big plans we should know about?
We do. And so we've developed this mantra called the Road to 25.
Okay.
And so our hope is that all throughout this year that we're building up, we're hoping we get the opportunity to take the guys on a brunch tour, the Players Choir. One of the things that I'm most proud of that they've been doing, every city we go to, like they sang with the Dallas Symphony. Every city we've been going through, and this is something they decided to do on their own, and I'm grateful for this. We go to a children's hospital, no matter what city we're in, and they minister to kids in those cities. And so that we're thinking about not just a tour to sing and dance or whatever, but a tour to actually go and minister to parents at hospitals and children and what have you. And then we're also thinking about how can we be more engaged in diversity, helping the NFL tell the DEI story, because many of those guys are actually African-American business owners. And so when they come to the Super Bowl and things, they're walking away from their businesses. One of the guys is he's a vice president of Foot Solutions, but he also owns some of the stores. And so we want to, because several of them have successful businesses, find a way to engage more people in their stories. The content play, I think, is where we have room for improvement. How do we tell the stories of how this all came about and how it can be better? If I had my druthers, I would have a show called making the choir. Because it takes a lot for us to recruit the active guys, because they still deal with, I don't know if this is cool to be seen like this in a choir robe. And we had Isaiah.
And the capacity to be able to be in season. It's like you training to be great over here, and you can sing, so this would be a wonderful space for me to be in, but do I have the capacity?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what was really made me very happy this summer. When we knew we were going on America's Got Talent, we started reaching out to current players. One of the young men, he said, I'm gonna come. He was kind of, I don't know, should I, would I? And when he decided to come, he missed his flight.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just told him, I said, well, young man, you tried. Isaiah McKenzie with the Buffalo Bills. And he said, oh, you acting like I'm not going to show up for rehearsal. I said, well, it's almost, he said, I just chartered a plane. I'm on my way to rehearsal.
Excuse me.
That's what I said. But it showed me when he got there, he said, I did what my grandmother would have wanted me to do, to be a man of my word. So I think it's so many elements to this. And he was so happy because he was with the guys on America's Got Talent until he couldn't be.
Okay.
Because of, the training season started. But if I had my druthers, I would love a show called Making the Choir that showed that's not cheap reality TV, but really focused on the whole man, the faith-based man, the talented man, and really that's the one thing I think we're missing is how can we tell more of the stories of the guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we're going to do yet, but we're working on it. We're going to ideate until we find something.
Yeah. So we've heard a lot about the stuff that you're doing, and in order for that stuff to be done, there is some substance in a woman.
Yes.
That is the force behind all of this. So can you just tell us, who is Melanie Few?
Melanie is a daughter, a sister, a real good friend. I mean, you got me as a friend, you got to ride or die.
Yeah.
I'm a woman who loves God, loves my family. And it's interesting because as much as I love what I do and I'm driven to do what I do, it's so interesting. The little things in life bring me so much joy. If I had I would give it all up for the opportunity to push my mother in the wheelchair just one more time. Everything I do, I would give it all up just to take my little goddaughter to nursery school one more time, if it got to that point. As much as I love what I do, it's not who I am.
Yes.
I'm a woman that loves the Lord, but I love my family more than anything. And I think the love for my family, the love for God, allows me to, when we do what we do, Tommi, we take some hard licks. People look at you and they perceive whatever they perceive, and it might be your truth and it might not be. And I found that I thank God for this sisterhood. I thank God for the spirit of women who really want to see the best for each other. Mm-hmm. I'm a woman that wants to see the best for other women, other men, because if I know, I understand whatever I put into the universe is what I'm going to get back. And so if I had to just say who I was, the first thing I am is a child of God. Second thing is I'm a really great family member, a wonderful friend, and I am just a believer. I'm okay with being told no. My mother used to tell me, it's nothing wrong with being told no. It's something wrong with not trying. Whatever you want in this life, if you fail at it, it's nothing wrong with failure. But it is something wrong with not trying.
Yeah. And
she used to always tell me, because she always wanted to be an anchor woman. But if my mother was still alive now, she'd be 90. And she said, I let other people telling me it was just a fantasy force me inward and say, I'm a school teacher, I'm happy, when I knew I wanted more. And she said, now I finally understand the most successful people in this world are people who have failed at multiple things. But they had the ability to get up and wipe themselves off and keep pressing on. That's what I never want to lose, my ability to wipe myself off. I may fail at a lot of things before my life is over. But if I try, that is my success.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So now this is a segment that I call I'm Bringing Her to the Table with Me.
Okay.
And this is your opportunity to bring another woman to the table, to give her virtual flowers. For you know that you would not be where you are today without her fingerprint on your life?
I'm going to give my virtual flowers to my Aunt Rosalind.
Mm-hmm.
We called her Aunt Boo. And the reason I'm going to do that is because she didn't get to accomplish everything she wanted to accomplish in life, but she gave me my self-confidence. She was a plus-size queen. She was one of my daddy's younger sisters. And she always went after whatever she wanted. She was told no a lot, but she always went after whatever she wanted. And Aunt Boo was the kind of woman. She was a prayer warrior. She was a loving woman, but she was so full of confidence. And as a little girl, I was a chubby little girl, my self-confidence was very low. I never had a boyfriend in high school because I didn't think I was worthy of one. And she would say to me, well, I don't understand. She was like, I don't get how my niece could be so insecure. Yeah. I don't get it because I don't know about you, but I'm the finest thing I've ever seen. She was like, I am fine, okay? Now, if you want to sit over here with this love. And she poured into me, and she would tell me when I was a little girl, I was always a shy little girl. I don't know where the lack of confidence came from because my parents always poured love into me.
Yeah.
And I had teeth so buck I couldn't close my mouth, and my mother would hold my face and say, you're so beautiful, you're a sweet girl. It did not come from my parents. Mm-hmm. It came from, I see people don't understand how kids in school can bully you to a point that, you don't believe that you are who you should believe you
Absolutely.
are. I was bullied as a child. And not by my parents. My parents were nothing but amazing to me. But my aunt was so crazy and so sassy. And these girls jumped on me in like the 5th grade. My aunt came up to that school. She was like, call your mamas because we about to have a problem. I don't play this about my niece, But she was sassy and she was wonderful and loving and kind, And I want to give her flowers because today is her birthday.
Oh, wow.
And I think she was a game changer in my life. She was the one that said, girl, you cute. I know you chubby, but you still cute. See, it's some thin, ugly girls out here. And so, Aunt Boo, you in heaven, but you know what? You made an impact in my life.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Is there anything that we have not discussed that you would like to share with our listening community?
I would just like to say whatever you want to do in life, whatever it is, whatever dream you have, faint not. Faint not. It may take you, our time is not God's time, but God's time is perfect. I was telling somebody just last week, I said, I needed God to show up in my life for some things that were going on. I said, Lord, just show up by midnight. And honey, he waited till 11:59 and a half. He waited till 11:59 and a half. But he always shows up every time. I said, come on, God, you can come at 10 this time. But yeah, just whatever you believe in, never let anybody tell you what you can't do. Mm-mm. Never let anybody. It's so interesting. I think about I call them my nieces and nephews, and sometimes they come to me with some of the craziest ideas. I never tell them it's crazy. I always pour affirmation into their lives, unless it's completely crazy. I tell them, I said, now don't be 50 years old trying to be a rapper now. Come on. But I pour affirmation in them because I had somebody to do it for me.
Absolutely.
I would not be where I was if somebody didn't say, even my parents, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first decided to come out of corporate America, my parents grew up in a time where you got a job, you retired in 50 years or 40 years. And they did, at first they were like, just girl, get your teacher certificate and sit down. Get your teacher certificate and sit down. Stability. Yes. And when they saw that my mind was made up, they began to pour into my business and then, and say, okay, she really wanted to do it and we're going to support it. When people find that you're serious and you take one step, God's going to take two on your behalf. But other people will pour into that if they see that you are serious and you are committed. That's the main thing. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, Melanie, I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation.
I made it to the table.
And I'm glad that you took some time out of your schedule to come and stay a while
I'm so happy.
at the In Her Words table. And you are welcome.
I love you.
Anytime.
I love you.
I love you.
I'm still mad about I missed grits the other day. But not being able to get there probably saved me 2 or 3 calories. 2 or 3 pounds, that is.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, my sister. I love you so
I love
much.
you.
Come on and stay a while with Tommi B. Come on and stay a while with Tommi B. Come on and stay a while.